2-week stint with pneumonia.
Oh wow.
Oh my God.
I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Yeah, there's a lot of funk going around right now.
Definitely.
It was much.
Been on some calls the last week. 1 or 2 people hacking on it.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was a lot worse than the COVID when I hit it.
Yeah,
Really?
it is, yeah. So, why don't we go ahead and get started?
Sure.
You guys,
So,
Freeman's on his way in.
would it be helpful to go around and say names and who people are, or do you all feel like you know who each other is?
No harm.
Yeah. So why don't, we'll start in the back.
I'm Bob McQueen, Selectman for Woodstock. I just learned of this meeting last night. I would like to say this is a ski community, and I'm missing a lot of prime skiing right now.
Rose.
Rose Lincoln with the Bethel paper, newspaper.
I'm Mia Purcell. I think everybody knows me. So.
Mike Wilson with Northern Forest.
Kim Sparks from Greenwood.
Michelle Cole, Selectman Bethel.
I'm Pam Holly with Firstlight.
I'm Patrick Coughlin, Chief Development Officer for Firstlight.
Sharon Jackson, Town Manager, Bethel.
And Graham Maxfield, Town Manager, Woodstock.
Great.
Patrick, what's your last name?
Coughlin, Coughlin.
Thank you.
Well, Mike, I'll let you kick it off.
No, I think this is kind of
It's your
your show. I think everyone's very excited to hear the news of your award from Maine Connectivity Authority. After again, a lot of folks in this room worked on this for a while.
Yes.
So it was really nice to get the word that things were progressing, and so I think at this point, this is kind of your show.
Sure.
To get everyone in the loop and
Give you some.
let you know where things are
I
at.
put together, kind of a quick 2-pager presentation in terms of the grant, how it will work, the timeline on the build out. But first, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Mike and Mia for all of their hard work. This has been, I think I was 17 when we started this. And it's been their persistence. Thankfully, the town's sticking with us through this because working with the MCA and trying to figure out different variations on trying to make a funding proposal work were somewhat challenging, but thankfully we're here, and the good news is, we were awarded. We still need to work out the contracts with that, but we think it's a great opportunity both for Firstlight, the towns, but also for the state. One of the things that I think people lose sight on is there are only so many dollars. And Maine does not have enough dollars right now to build out broad as much as we all think, and it's not just Maine, it's every state. There just are not enough capital dollars to build fiber everywhere you want. The fact that MCA came up with kind of this is a new program for them. It's unlike anything that they have proposed over the last couple of years. And it really is a partnership between Firstlight and MCA and the towns. Everybody's contributing. We're contributing more than the other broadband proposals that have been out there and programs that are out there. Most of that's been heavily weighted that the ISP invests anywhere from 20 to 30%, and the state and federal government picks up 70 to 80% of the bill to hit unserved areas. This proposal, as you can see from the presentation, it's a 50-50 split pretty much between MCA and Firstlight. So we're both putting skin in the game. The nice thing is the plan is to build fiber everywhere within the ILEC in this territory. So we are, our goal is to try to bring broadband to as many homes as possible, looking to get as much coverage. Probably would not have happened if this PEMS program was not initiated. So we're thankful. We think, again, it's a great opportunity for Firstlight. It's a great opportunity for the towns. And again, with the goal of, closing the digital divide, to use the quote that everybody uses. But this program is going to do that for the towns that reside in this area. So, Pam actually is your face of, she's basically managing the telephone company up here for us. So she, has been with the company for many years, has a lot of experience. And again, just want to thank all of you for your patience in this as we move forward.
Can I just quickly divert? This is Freeman Corbo. He's first selectman in Gilead.
Hi Freeman, nice to meet you. I'm Patrick Coughlin. Thank you.
I'm Pam Holly.
Nice to meet you.
Me too.
So the nice thing that also Mira and Mike did on your behalf is negotiating pricing that we have, and we can share that with you as well. This is also going to be in the contract with the MCA, yeah, sure, and Firstlight, and it will be on our website. And as we kick this off, and residents decide and businesses decide to take service. Again, the hard work that everybody's put in, the federal dollars have been contributed, the state dollars have been contributed, also play a part in this. So again, we're really excited to be able to bring gig services, fiber-based services to all of your homes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I have one too, please?
Oh, sure. Didn't mean to miss you.
I don't know if there are any questions.
What's your schedule? What's your build-out schedule?
So we,
And where are you starting?
well, the good news is because of the contributions that the towns have made, in the Mahoosuc group, those towns will get they're going to be the beneficiaries of the initial build-out. So we're still finalizing the schedule, but again, all of the towns that are contributing ARPA funds to that, rightfully so, are going to be the areas where we concentrating on unserved portions of those networks first, and then backfilling with the call it unserved or underserved areas in those towns that you all reside in. So your money is not going to waste. It actually will, hopefully, get you these services as quickly as we can build them. Knock on wood. Let's have a light winter. We've been lucky the last couple of years with winter, other than a month ago. I'll take, that's a different animal in itself. But snow, we have not had really anything, in our traditional kind of snowstorms that could impact us. So there's a 5-year schedule, and really that just comes down to physics and manpower. We'd love to be able to build all of this stuff very quickly. We can't always do that because of either digging moratoriums. There could be some supply chain issues, although that started to clear up. Manpower issues. Everybody who is doing build-outs in the state of Maine is competing for the same resources as we are. So again, we feel we have the right amount of people and the right, we'll call it, support from other companies that are going to help us build out the network, but still, it can be challenging, and those are some of the things that can affect the timeline. But the goal here is to go hard and fast. If we can finish it in less than 5 years, that would be great. But that's what we're committing to MCA in terms of finishing, the end of it.
Exciting. When will you be invoicing us for the funds at some point, or?
So that's going to be as part of the contract. So as many of you know, we did execute a contract back in 2022 for the Connector Ready. We're going to use that as the foundation for this new agreement. Instead of Connector Ready, it's going to be PEMS and any of the call it new federal language will be put into that. The good news is our attorney has looked at it and said, you know what, there really aren't that many changes between either agreement and the new language. So we feel, provided we're hoping you guys are using the same attorney or attorneys, but we think that we're going to have a draft to you guys within the next week to look at. So.
And you've been in touch with Phil Saucier?
Yeah, but my question for him was more, do we need to start over again, or can we use the existing contract that we had? And he basically said what Patrick just said. What we've got is good, and there isn't language that really needs to be
And our
changed.
attorney worked well with Phil, so she
Yeah,
was
right.
keeping her fingers crossed that he was gonna be still working on this.
We haven't officially
Yeah.
gone to him and said, oh, we'd like to retain you again.
Sure.
But I think we can do that.
I think it's important, like the towns need some.
Right, obviously,
On
yeah.
their behalf,
Yeah.
review the contract for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. And then gotta figure out a way to pay for
Yeah,
it.
I was gonna say, like previously, we were positioned with some grant funding that we had to pay the legal fees. That grant funding is no longer there. So, we'll need to find out from Phil exactly, at least his projection on what that cost would be and talk amongst ourselves about how to
I'm
cover
sure we
that.
can help if needed, as needed.
I would expect that.
So, and I don't think it's gonna be a huge amount of money at all. In fact, he'd say $2,000 at most.
We can maybe
A
help
couple
save
thousand.
some money too on that if we send the draft over to him instead of
That's
him
If
working
you
on
guys
it.
do the first draft,
So
that
we'll,
he can just be
why don't we take a
reviewing.
crack at the first draft, that way he
Okay.
doesn't have to pick up his pen.
Oh, he'll
And
pick up his pen.
I know he will. Pick up his pen and the phone. But at least hopefully we can lessen some of
Okay.
that burden.
Yeah, he did not expect that it was gonna be a high bill at all.
Well, do you all need to clarify, confirm with Patrick and team, like everyone's respective contributions here? Because there've been changes.
Right.
Since last fall in terms of what funding
Yeah.
different communities have available. So it feels to me like that,
That does
on your
need to
end,
be-
that seems like an important.
Yes.
We still have the full amount back up. that we received.
But Newry does not, and Bethel does not. But
You
Gilead
guys,
does.
you guys are good? Yeah.
The pledged amount of the IPA
36,
funds.
yeah.
Everything else.
What did you just say?
I think it's 130, ours is 136 or something like that.
I've got emails, I think I've sent them to you before, but I can do it again if you want.
I have them, so I will, why don't we just, you and I will just make sure that we're on the
Yep.
same page in terms
Okay.
of what the dollar amounts are.
So
Okay.
I'm sorry, the invoicing you were talking about, that's for the towns who have committed funds?
Yes.
And what if towns decide to commit funds at this point?
You mean towns that hadn't committed?
Yeah.
Ooh, hadn't considered that.
Well, I guess if I'm hearing you correctly, because Bethel had made a decision to
They did.
to bring those funds back
beginning.
for other purposes.
Right.
So you would be considered new at this point, I guess.
Probably that's how that works,
Yeah.
yes.
So I'd assume that would just be, again, that would be a
Yeah,
conversation.
Just something we'd have to get,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll figure that out and send you, obviously, to have a copy of the contract and whatever amount you wanna contribute.
So there are different benefits if you do not contribute or if you do?
It really just, the ARPA funding, two parts of that. One was to show MCA that the towns were committed
Okay.
to this process with us. The other beneficiary, we decided to do this, but it made great business sense. If you had contributed dollar amounts, it would make sense that we should actually start to build your area out as part of kind of the timeline. Because you do need to spend that money by that all has to be spent by 2026. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. And so that was the other, the third most important thing. If you did, we need to spend it all by 2026.
Mhm.
Yes.
What if the funding coming from the towns is short? How does
Well,
that gonna be?
why don't we'll figure that out.
So is it a pay-to-play scheme?
No.
No.
It really, part of the charter from MCA and the reason why the Mahoosuc group came together was if you did contribute funds, you get more points on your application. So instead of getting a 75 if the towns, and I'm just making this up, you got an 85 score because the towns were all contributing some dollars to that. That's really what gave you a better report card, us a better report card.
And these are gonna cover all the locations, in the towns, even, so this is what I heard, but I just wanted to confirm that this would also involve building over, existing cable.
They don't want to hear that, but yes.
I'm sure they don't, but yes,
Yes,
okay.
Yep.
So the people who have cable will
they'll
now
have a
have
choice.
a choice, yeah.
Mhm.
3 choices, actually, no 2, just fiber and cable, not DSL.
So most of the network will be under the ground?
I mean, I don't want to, I'm not an engineer.
Yeah.
But I think most of what we do will be, well, I take it back. When we're coming down a main street, it's going to have to be on poles.
Yes.
When we come off the pole and are coming into, let's say, your neighborhood, your driveway, that will have to be underground. So.
If it's buried now, it would be buried.
Yep.
But if it's aerial now, it would be
It'll be aerial.
aerial.
Why would you bury it?
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, some homeowners or home associations don't wanna see the wires through the air attached to their house.
But along the roadways, it'll all be aerial?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, the only burial is to a residence or business, okay.
yeah, and we prefer it aerial because it's easier to fix.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If it should cut.
You see that more with newer developments now. They
Yeah,
put it underground. They'll build conduit systems, and they'll put it underground because they don't want the look of the wires. But to Pam's point, it's easier to fix.
Sure
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Well, some of our streets and roads have phone lines that are buried under the ground, and
If we
I
can
think
change
it's
it,
more for convenience, or,
if we can change it to aerial, we will. We'd rather have it aerial.
I mean, underground is nice, as long as nobody digs it up and cuts it.
That's right.
I don't, there's more incidents, people damaging it that way versus storm damage from being aerial. I don't know, it's probably a catch-22.
Right.
Because when it's buried and it's not disturbed, it's good to
Right.
go, but.
Right.
But somebody with a backhoe
Yeah.
looking to dig up a pipe does
Fix
not
the
know that
driveway,
there's wire
Put a
there.
culvert in, something, yeah.
So what about driveways, if it has to be, underground, that's usually more expensive than aerial, so would the homeowner pay for that, or does Firstlight pay for that, or how does that work?
We go the first 500 feet or so many poles, like if they're way in off the road, so many
Yeah.
poles in.
Okay,
And there could be construction charges if they're
way farther
way
away,
in, yeah.
okay, that makes sense.
But for most residents, it would just be a part of your monthly bill. I mean, it would just be absorbed in that.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a standard installation fee, but as part of the grant, the installation fees are gonna be waived.
Okay.
And so there would just be the monthly rate after the installation.
Because there's a lot of citizens, families that wouldn't probably want to, out of pocket, probably would just stay with the provider they've got already in the ground or whatever because of that. But if the installation fees are waived,
They're
I think a
waived
lot of people would be
during construction for a year
Yeah.
after the build is completed.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the entire build, I believe,
Some
so.
people have like 6 years to make a decision.
Well, I think that is an important question,
Yeah.
like when it's references the bill, that means kind of the full,
Yep.
the full project. Okay.
Yeah.
And, so I think this comes back, I think, potentially to us a little bit in communication. So you'll be running fiber down the road. If I have a house on the side of the road, I have to, and I don't currently have a wire from Firstlight into my house, I have to opt in. I have to contact you and say, yeah, I want to. Yeah, you're not going to automatically run a
No,
wire to my
we
house. So,
can't do
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
I'd like to be able to do that, but
Right.
we can't, no.
So that's an important piece again for a take rate standpoint. For you all, I assume you will have a communication and marketing strategy. in
Yes,
place.
so we have a full marketing strategy, and that the onus is on us. Shame on us if we build all this fiber and we don't let folks know. So we do this in a couple of different ways. Pam's guys, hopefully the trucks are down the road, so you see people go, boy, looks like they're building fiber. That's one way. Another way, we leave door tags to let them know, hey, fiber's in your neighborhood. And then we'll be doing some aggressive outreach. We may hire some interns or something, do some outbound calling to let folks know. The towns can be helpful, you know, we'll hang stuff and, you know, if you let us in town hall saying fiber is available in Bethel, and, you know, on these dates. So again, we may even do some radio advertising, we'll see, but cable advertising to let folks know. But I think it's a multi-prong attack, marketing attack to let folks know that it's available. You know, come and try it. You know, I will say this: once you get fiber-based services, you will not go back. It's a world of difference for all the things you can do and your kids can do.
Another thing my team does is, as we finish a build, we won't wait the full 5 years, but as neighborhoods or areas or roads are ready for installation, a letter goes out to each address that says, you know, we're here, give us a call. Fiber's available at your address.
That's good to know.
We do a bill message too, but you don't know how many people really read their bill messages, so we send a direct mail as well, a letter.
Probably our Facebook pages and web pages.
Yeah, you might want to put something on.
We will be doing social media as well on that.
Okay.
Yep.
Is the unorganized territories like Albany, they're on the list to be served as well? Must be, yeah.
Albany Township, and we're in Mason just a little bit, Mason Township.
A little bit, so not the whole thing.
No, we don't have all of Mason Township.
Okay.
Kings Highway and,
Kings Highway.
well, yeah, Mason's kind of odd, like you gotta go up the flat road to get to some of it, and you gotta go up the bog road in Gilead to get to the couple of places. Yeah, it's spread out.
And what about, so I remember seeing, and I mentioned this to you in an email, Lock Mills was mentioned, but not the town of Greenwood.
Yeah, I think that was left out in error,
Okay.
but because it's confusing, like I had said, but Greenwood can have a Lock Mills
Yep.
exchange, it can have,
Woodstock has Bryant
Woodstock.
Pond and Woodstock.
yeah, yes, yeah. So it gets confusing in that way. Bryant Pond's not even really a town,
No.
so that should have been Greenwood Woodstock, I guess, instead of listing as Bryant Pond.
I think that would be clearer if it was.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it presumes on the part of people who live in the area that you're only talking about the village and not the whole area. And that makes a big difference.
What do you mean Bryant Pond's not a town?
It's because it's the best town. Just missing that crank phone.
Just missing it.
Yeah.
It'd be kind to send a fax over there. Over the crank phone.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I
It's
don't
just
think
crank
you can
really
FaceTime. I don't think you can FaceTime either.
No. So
Any other questions?
Yeah. Anybody else have questions?
Just excited, I guess.
Yeah?
We are too. I can't wait.
Yes, it's been a long road.
Yeah. What else can the towns do to help support the project as it moves forward?
I think once we, you know, we love to do press releases, and we, you know, you may have seen the one, well, maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but we did one with the MCA, where we use multiple channels for getting the word out, but, you know, we'd love to do press releases with the towns, and to get the word out locally, statewide, so sends a great message.
I think there's been a press release in the Bethel Citizen, has there?
I haven't seen one, no. I'll take it.
Yeah, the press release that had, featured like our committee,
Yeah.
that was great.
That was something.
I'll give you my
card.
Main
Yeah, they did that.
That was a little different, I think.
So, yes.
When you comment about workforce and manpower, how are you finding that? Is it a struggle to find good?
I don't know if it's a struggle. It's, you know, you always want to have more than you need, just to hedge your bets.
I was curious if we should be pushing like these tech schools to maybe start classes in
It's a great
tech
idea.
and stuff
We,
like that.
we, it's
It's
something
a
we
thing
are
of the
working
future.
on.
You know, definitely a job of the future is installing these and working on different systems.
And there aren't, it's shockingly, they have electrical, they have plumbing. Nobody has come up with fiber optic,
It's kind of an in-between.
which schools should. It's a great paying job. Right now, you have probably, arguably, 5 to 10 years worth of work if you are a fiber technician. And if you're good, you'll have a job for the rest of your life.
At least be encouraging,
And we have reached out, but it's something we've been working with MCA on, workforce development. And one of them should be, some of the trade schools around here. Could we put together some type of curriculum for, training? I think it'd be great.
Region
I
9 or
think Central Maine Community College has done something, but the high schools certainly have not.
Yeah.
or even if it's just a short like day class to kind of get a kid, curiosity started about
Exposure.
it is a good,
Maybe something for us to think about, a dog and pony, where we go to some of the trade schools and talk about fiber optic, especially, I will say this, a lot of the skills that you develop as an electrician, I know a lot of the guys that are electricians that have worked for us that are now splicers came out of the electrical trade, so.
lineman work, it's all good paying jobs.
It is.
Clean work, storm damage is not so fun, but,
Yeah.
It's not gonna work.
Well, there are basically two schools in this area. One is the Oxford Hills and the other is Region 9 in Mexico. Region 9 is probably the main one. And I believe they have a welding program, but they clearly don't have anything that's directly related to this. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, I know schedule's hard to commit to. Do you have an order of which neighborhoods are getting it or which towns are getting it? So we see, oh, they got Bethel done, they're coming to Greenwood next or something like that.
So the contract that we do with MCA is gonna have to specifically state that.
Okay.
We've got some, what I can do, I don't mind sharing it with you guys, so when we, we're probably 2 weeks away from finalizing it, so, I can share it with Mia and Mike, and they can disperse that to you, but it'll give you a sense of, kind of the towns that we're gonna be targeting, in areas. And probably we should do a refresh to remind folks the areas we already have built fiber to. And, we've talked about it, doing another blitz in those neighborhoods to remind folks, hey, you have fiber down your street.
right,
And also, I'm just curious, how are you handling, I know this doesn't apply in this setting, but West Paris, where there's also a contract with GWI to build that particular area?
We're gonna let GWI build,
Okay.
are we done in West Paris?
We have some in West Paris, but it's,
No, you're not done.
we're almost done in Sumner and Hartford.
Right.
Yeah, right. West Paris, you've done the main streets, but you haven't done any of the real side streets, I don't think.
There's not much we can do about that other than we'll compete.
Okay. So you won't be building over their area, in other words?
If we're not already there, we will.
Yeah, okay.
It's another thing our citizens need to realize is like, you gotta build the big stuff first before you have the small lines go out. You can't just run fiber out to this one house on the back
yeah.
street.
You're right.
Without building the main structure first. So.
And MCA's request is, hey, build the unserved areas first, and
Just to
then back build into unserved. That works great on paper, doesn't, and we're gonna do our best to comply, but why would we not go down this, to get to that, we're gonna have to go down this way, so we're gonna build that.
You kinda have to, yeah.
Sure.
So, you know, you can't can't connect to one pipe if you don't put this pipe in, is the best way to explain it. So we're gonna build the most efficient way, not be, you know, not spend money stupidly. Makes sense.
And you can't put somebody's garden hose to run their place and not have the water lines feeding it.
Right.
So, we'll have to just relay that to our citizens, you know.
Any other questions from anyone?
From prank calls to fiber.
I know, who would have ever thought?
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, you know, just as little as late 2019-20, we would not be having this conversation. You know, we might, and I say this, Firstlight might have got there in 10 years, building it out, but it just wouldn't have happened. Not to say COVID, there's any plus to it, but the only plus is it forced the federal government to acknowledge that there are some areas in this country that didn't have broadband. We're never going to get broadband unless there was some type of stimulus. So we've accelerated, you know, they've helped accelerate this pace. And so, God forbid, let's hope we never have anything like that. But if kids do need to learn from remotely, or we have a snowstorm and you guys want to work from home and not here, you should have the speed of your home service should be as good as you sitting in your office. That's really what this is going to provide. You'll be able to pull down very large files instead of sitting there going, my God, or in the middle of the afternoon, why is my service so slow? It's because the kids all came home and took over all of our broadband services at 2 o'clock.
We certainly noticed that
Yeah.
back along.
So I'm gonna ask probably foolish questions, but I know there's no foolish questions. I'm new here in Bethel, so what does Bethel have available here now, and what are we looking at getting?
We have built parts of Bethel, up Sunday River, Mayville, Main Street. I don't have all the addresses in the top of my head, but I can certainly send Mia the addresses of Bethel.
Yeah.
And then the rest will be built up.
Yeah.
It's like Bethel Village
Yeah.
is currently not built with fiber.
You know Bethel better than me.
Yeah, I don't
think so. From the things you've sent me, I don't believe so.
I didn't think it was, but
No,
I don't
it's
have
the
any-
main roads that, like you said, Route 2, Mayville, and Route 26, I think. But a lot of the side roads, and especially in the village, don't have fiber.
I can resend you that list. I
Yeah.
mean, we haven't been able to do much in 2023, so I don't think it's changed much, but I can send it to you.
Yeah.
And it would have all the addresses where we
Okay.
are now.
All right,
that be helpful? Do you have that information?
what's that?
The
street list.
addresses where it's available today and kind of where the holes are?
I don't know that.
Okay.
No, would it be helpful, he's,
Oh, would it be helpful?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
If you have like if you can zoom in
Great.
on something like this and actually show it in a map form, I think that would be
That'd be
super
great.
helpful, rather than
Okay.
trying to scan an Excel file and kind of track addresses. Map would be perfect.
Oh, you'd rather have a map than a list?
I'll take the list.
Okay,
actually, I'd like a list too.
okay,
I'll take a list too.
okay.
So that'd be
Yeah.
I'll
back.
send it to Mia,
Yeah, I can send it out.
Yeah, that'd be
because
great.
I don't have all your
Yeah.
email addresses, would that work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I was gonna say I'd send you a KMZ, but that'll just be real confusing, so I'm not gonna send it to everybody.
And I guess the other thing too is our consultant who we had with the committee, Brian Lippold, he actually went around, he hired people to go around and look at the poles all over this area. And he identified by chart in each town who had cable, who had DSL, who was unserved, et cetera. And then he revised that after you did some build out in Albany and Bethel of fiber. So we have big gross numbers in terms of actual locations under those different headings. But what we don't have is the specific addresses or a map that actually shows the streets that are served and unserved.
We could share that report with you though, Sharon.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
It's a couple years old, but
okay.
it's pretty comprehensive.
Pretty current in
Yeah.
terms of the information, since, like Pam said, they didn't do much of anything last year in this area.
Yeah.
I will do that.
So, unserved areas that get service first, is there a particular matrix that you use, if population is an unserved area, and there's more population, is that where you try to focus first, or probably have to look at it comprehensively and
It's comprehensive, and this is where the network engineers tell me to get out of the room. So they design it kind of hoping to achieve speed and scale as they're designing it. So my guess is you're probably right in terms of if there's a cluster of unserved areas, that will be a target, because then they can feed kind of tentacles off of that to get back to now underserved areas. So it makes sense, but we can verify that.
that'd be great, thank you. It's just a curiosity question because it was with the process since 2020 or whatever it was. And the application, the first application that you put in with MCA was not successful.
Yes.
And then this was the second application.
Actually, there was another one.
In the spring.
So this is our third.
The third one, yeah.
So obviously there's some lessons that have been learned. Has this been helpful for you as a company? You going to other areas in the state, or?
So, well, it's kind of unique for Firstlight. So this area that we're talking about, we are the telephone company.
Right.
We don't have that anywhere else in our network other than these towns in Maine. So that's unique to us. So
Not to me, I love it.
right. The lessons learned are some of it's political, just learning how to put together the application and read the tea leaves of what the state is looking to accomplish as well. We thought the first application we did, wow, we touched every button. Well, we didn't. And so we failed on that one. So there are definitely some lessons learned, and we've learned more probably about mapping than any of our folks ever wanted to learn about mapping and the specifics behind it. That's been a very big positive for us.
I'd like to just add, so I had the same feeling you did. And in our first application, we went back to our mission, our vision goal, and that was that everyone would have service, no matter what they have now. And that's not how the state said, oh yes, we will consider underserved and unserved locations. Ultimately, they didn't. They just looked at unserved locations. And so by wanting to build out and proposing to build out all of our location, we kind of pushed ourselves back in terms of priority. That's the issue. But on the other hand, the fact that we had that as our priority, it's getting everything built out through this particular approach. So all is not lost except for time.
Yeah, it is funny.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's a great point. The fact that it was rejected on, call it that, phase 1. Phase 3 is kind of back to the drawing board, but it's all of the towns. So part of me is saying, well, I think this all goes back to also the state and MCA realizing we don't have enough money. If we don't get some partnerships between ISPs or service providers and the state as more of a 50-50 split, the dollars just aren't there. So I think you'll see hopefully you'll see more of these types of deals where it's a partnership and maybe the towns can contribute if they have ARPA funding. But I think you're gonna need to see some more of this because again, it's not a limitless, CapEx bucket, and parts of Maine, they're very rural. You might have a house every, some places, every 4 miles. That does not work economically.
Yeah. It just makes for, thank you for your tenacity and, Mia and Mike leading the group around here. Thank you for your tenacity too.
We definitely had some calls going, are we sure this is gonna work this time? Like, well, we're gonna just keep hitting our head against the wall till something sticks.
Well, I'll just say MCA has been supportive of our efforts from the get-go.
Yeah.
And that's made all the difference. They recognize the quality of the contract that we negotiated with Firstlight back in the November, October of last year. And I think the fact that we did more than a lot of other communities mattered, and it's what has helped help them get funding this time around.
Yeah. And the inclusion of, not to interrupt, your stick-to-itiveness in this process is really was one of the big keys. They saw that the towns were invested in this,
That is
not
true.
just monetarily.
Yes. Actually, Andrew Butcher came back to me several times and said, are the towns really in on this? Because they have given grants out in places where they haven't necessarily felt like the towns were as supportive of what was gonna happen. That makes all the difference in the take rate in the end.
Right.
That's where the rubber hits the road. It's not build it and they will come. They need to be ready to come when it's built, so.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So next steps wise, seems like it's really for the purpose of this, it's really around the contract.
Yep.
So you all are gonna produce the next draft,
Yes.
circulate it. Mia, you'll follow up with Phil. Maybe it'd be good if we can get at least an estimate from him on what it would cost, and then circle back to the town managers around
Okay.
ideally divvying up kind of legal fee to review the contract.
And I should add is, so our process with the MCA, so we have a standing weekly meeting with MCA's team and our team, which includes lawyers. So that tomorrow might be. We have a weekly meeting with them, again, to keep everything on track. So we're populating a workbook, Pam and others on our team, which probably, we may be done by the end of this week or early next week, getting at that draft of the workbook back to MCA. So, everybody seems to be working well and trying to get this thing pushed forward as quickly as possible.
Excellent.
So ideally, the contract piece between you and the towns would move in the next 3 weeks. Is that?
Yes, that would
That's
be
your
great.
target, and you need that in order to finalize your contract with MCA in February.
You brought up a great point. Do the towns need to go back to a formal town meeting for approval on this? I know the last you did before. I don't know if any of the towns have to do it again.
I don't think so.
I don't believe so.
We need not only the selectmen's vote, but the town voted at a town meeting 2 years ago, whatever, to give the authority to the selectmen.
Okay.
Again, I think you need to go back to whatever decision was made related to the sewer district years, whatever that was 6 months ago, and kind of circle back to that and see what implications that decision has on whatever funding Bethel might be able to contribute at this point. So yeah, I think you're in a little bit slightly more complicated spot. Again, you guys are all clear.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly what that looks like, but a little trickier, I think, about it.
So we would only be a part of the contract if we committed funds, or if we were able to commit funds now? Or would we still be a part of the contract without committing funds?
I don't know if you need to sign a contract.
I wouldn't think so.
But aren't you signing a contract?
He is,
But
because of
they-
his funds.
ARPA funds,
Oh, because he's contributing some ARPA funds?
Yeah.
correct,
Do you have to contribute all of your ARPA funds or just some of that?
yeah.
Whatever you were,
Just whatever you wanted to?
The
Exactly.
original, when we were talking about this last summer, pretty much all the towns were contributing all of them. So these guys are still in that place, but if things have changed in Bethel, and I don't do all of them, I'm sure anything that you can do.
So Bethel could reconsider and donate some of their funds,
Yeah.
not all of them,
Yeah.
because they have spent
Yeah.
the sewer district some of them.
we just need to know what that is.
Okay,
You could,
all right.
Right, so like Nuri's not contributing any funds, would they still be part of the contract, or?
If you're not contributing any funds, no.
And did I hear you say that those who have contributed, they're on the front line of getting unbuilt areas built first? We do have an agenda item tonight to talk about that.
Okay, great.
You guys need anything else?
That's it.
thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for your patience. Look forward to it.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's been
Any questions?
Thank you,
questions?
what can I say?
Thanks for coming, Freeman.
All your hard work.
I worked for Bethel Paper, I met your brother before.